Gardner's is honored to be Lancaster's favorite mattress store 15 years in a row, voted a favorite every year since 2010. Every day of the year we work to be your favorite mattress store, and we earn the right to be a favorite with you, our next customer, with the way we help you wake up happy and find the right fit. And remember, it's not a mattress until you wake up happy on one from Gardner's Mattress & More. Double Deal savings events happening now.
You're listening to the Bulldog Hour, getting you inside the Wilson football program with weekly game previews, recaps, highlights, and interviews. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Bulldog Hour. I am one of your hosts, Joe Mays. Here with me, as always, is my co-host, Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
We are here for the 10th time in Season 11, our 10-year anniversary. This week, recapping a Bulldogs victory, Justin.
That's always more fun.
Always a positive, right? We like those weeks. We'll also be previewing the game against Cedar Crest, which is, as we talked about a lot last week, the actual midpoint of the regular season. So next week when we do this show, we will be 5 games down, 5 games to go. Bulldogs sitting pretty right now, sitting at 3-1 after the 49-0 victory against the visiting Reading High Red Knights. And it was a busy night and busy weekend around the Wilson School District. And we're going to talk about all the things, both Wilson football and related, here this evening. But up first, I do want to make sure to thank all of the sponsors here at the Bulldog Hour, including my dad and sister at May's Sandwich Shop. Be sure to visit us at ordermays.com. Been here since the beginning, and thank them very much. Also, Jeff Janakovo for Gardner's Mattress and More, gardnersmattressandmore.com down in Lancaster. Check them out near Park City. And I'm just realizing one thing I didn't get to do before we started here this evening, Justin, as I was running around trying to get the show set up. I forgot to grab the pictures of Coach Dom's 50 seasons artwork and the presentation we did. I will try to grab that, but I mentioned that now because Jeff Janakovo was a key player in getting that done, so I want to make sure I thank Jeff for that as well, and I will try to pull those photos so we can take a look at them and congratulate Coach Doms one more time. Also want to thank Steve Simons and SNS Mechanical, ssfirstmechanical.com. And up next, Eric Weiser from ericweiserhomes.com, local realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Sale Realty. Be sure to check him out for all your buying and selling needs. Mike Drago is up next, MikeDragosports.com. Thank you so much for sponsoring the Bulldog Hour here once again. I put them all together. Those big 5 presenting sponsors of the show: May's Sandwich Shop, Gardner's Mattress and More, SNS Mechanical, and then joining them, Realtor Eric Weiser and Mike Drago Sports, and then of course friend of the show Andy Herr, the Challenger family. Also, we'll get to talk about them with an event a little bit later here that we'll showcase, and then finally our 2 anonymous donors. Thank you all so much for supporting us here at the Bulldog Hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Up next for us will be 1 week from now, September 21st. We will be back for episode 11 of season 11 as we continue to roll right along in this season schedule. 4 down, 6 to go. We'll recap Reading High here shortly and preview Cedar Crest. So, Justin, before we get to football on the field from Friday night, there was a big event hosted by the school district and various clubs and organizers called Salute to Service. The second time the Wilson School District has done that during a football game. And I don't know about you, but I thought it was a fantastic event all night long.
Yeah, it was really exciting. It's cool to see all the things that they did, and it was really cool last year, and I felt like they kind of even added to it this year. It was cool having, and again, I might have overlooked or just not remembered some of these pieces from last year, but like having the band play the Armed Forces song.
No, I believe that was new this year.
Having some of the choral groups sing some of the. It was just really cool. A unique one because of the construction, having a crane with the giant American flag.
Yes.
This one I really liked. This is really cool. I thought to myself while we were actually pregame, I was like, oh, it would be cool if they would have had some of Reading's JROTC here, because I know they have a big JROTC program too. And they did.
Spoiler.
It was really cool. Like, that's just cool because it is one of those things that, like, I don't know. And I think one of the guys on the field at halftime when they recognized some of, and there were a whole bunch, first responders and veterans and all kinds of things. I think one of the veterans might have been from the Reading side, because towards the end he like turned and was waving towards the Reading side. I do not know that. That is purely speculation on my side, but like that's cool. It was one of the things that was bigger than football, right? And was just kind of bringing people together. It was a cool experience pregame. Very well done by Wilson and for Reading with their cooperation on that half too, because they, it kind of throws off their pregame stuff too. So a big thanks to everyone involved there.
Yeah, not only did the game get started a little bit later than usual, there was also an extended halftime to do the proper recognition of the first responders and veterans there, which your wife got to participate in.
Right.
Her and I usually are going at it about Army Navy, because I'm the Navy guy, but she is.
I think your dad gave her one of those in the stands too.
I'm sure, yeah. Well, she is Army airborne through and through.
Yes.
But she got to be down there, which is awesome, and it was fantastic for everyone that was there. Well done. They had the full honor guard there. The Trooper Brownback, who was instrumental in organizing a lot of the event that happened, had the variety of flags for the team to run on carrying, which was awesome.
Right.
And then 5 World War II veterans introduced pregame, one of which was 102 years old.
Yeah.
So fantastic. And
if I remember, that's Mr. Venino, correct?
Oh, I don't think Mr. Venino is 102. Is
okay.
He? I was going to mention him next to say, and one of the 5 was Mr. Venino, which the grandfather of assistant coach Adam Venino and father of PA announcer.
It's amazing.
So awesome event, and it was great last year. It was great this year, like you said, a little bit different. Added a few things.
Right.
Had the red, white, and blue smoke as the team ran on the field. Had the large American flag held up by JROTC members at midfield. You mentioned all the orchestra, the choral, the instrumental stuff that they did with the band and the chorus as well. Just really, really well done.
Right. Quick shout out to Karen Troutman and Jacob Ferreira, who, like, on a night like that, Friday nights can be a little hectic for them to begin with, especially Jacob. But Karen, especially when there's big special events like that, and to have all of those moving pieces, they did a phenomenal job. So that was really cool. Yeah,
they did awesome. And this isn't the end of us mentioning them here this evening with the other things that have happened Saturday and Sunday. But yes, Karen and Jacob, fantastic job again Friday night. And earlier this morning as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit. First up, Justin, here for episode 10 of season 11 of the Bulldog Hour. We are here to recap Wilson's victory against Reading High School, held Friday night, September 12th, against the 6A school, one of the biggest 6A schools in the state, possibly the biggest 6A school in the state, at least in District 3.
Yeah,
because I know there's some other suburban schools, maybe some Allentown schools are pretty big as well, but Reading High came in at 0-3, had not yet gotten a victory here in 2025, and Wilson to make sure that it stayed that way with a pretty overwhelming and dominating performance.
Yeah, and right from the start, and there was no real letdown. I think I don't know exactly. I'm sure we have it somewhere, but I think Wilson had scored. And I'm trying to look here.
Was it on?
There were only.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
First one was. I don't have the drives. But
hold on,
it has the drive like summaries, but it doesn't have, or it has the scoring plays. Sorry.
Yeah,
but,
so touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt. Then Wilson tried some trickeration.
Right, but I think we might have scored our first 2 touchdowns on maybe 5 plays.
Okay.
Something like that.
It was 6.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
6 plays.
So, yeah, just
6 plays and just 2 minutes and 8 seconds for the 2 combined drives.
Right. So
it was quick. It was very quick. So, yeah, just basically the entire game. So this is the first half. Went touchdown Wilson on the opening drive. Reading punt after 3 plays. Touchdown Wilson, 2 plays. Reading punt after 3 plays. Wilson got a little tricky and tried a double pass, essentially. Was an interception. So that drive ended after 2 plays.
Well defended. The guy came up and was flying up on Eli like that. It was just tough.
Well, and there was defenders on Damian as well.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't an opportunity to complete that trick play. But Wilson then forced Reading to lose 3 yards and punt after 3 plays again. Wilson went down the field in 3 plays and scored another touchdown, so it was up 21-0 before the end of the first quarter was even over. I don't believe Reading got a first down until 5:55 left in the second quarter, so second half altogether. They had the ball for 5 plays, but then fumble, which is the one I believe. There's debate of whether it was technically an interception or a fumble. I guess because it was maybe close to a simultaneous catch. They ruled it a fumble, and that's what I thought it was. But I talked to some people that thought it could have even been ruled an interception. But I think it was correctly marked as a fumble, and then Wilson scored a touchdown. It was actually, I think, the longest play of the night for Wilson. 8 plays, 63 yards for the score. Yeah, just all around. I mean, I guess technically the pick 6 was a pretty quick way to score as well. But at least the offense on the field, really, really well done all around. I mean, defense swarming. I know their one running back, I think it was Boston, ended up going over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So
they had some guys flying around,
and they had some big plays here and there. We're not able to get in the end zone. Another shutout for Wilson, 49-0. Backups, JV got a lot of playing time, even some towards the end of the second quarter, and the entirety of the second half.
Yep.
We did not see any of those starters.
Which is what you want to see. You
Absolutely.
want to see that happen.
Especially after a rough rebounding from a loss.
As a flip, I'm sitting there complaining to my dad last night as I'm saying the fact that Penn State has some of their names in the fourth quarter, not out of necessity, but because they weren't up so much that it was ridiculous, I said, is a failure.
Right.
So, like, this Wilson handled their business in the first half, and it played out accordingly throughout the rest of the game, which was awesome.
Wilson led the way in first down, 16-7. Net rushing yards, Wilson only had 69 to Reading's 94. But net yards passing, Wilson 5 times over Reading, 206-40. Was interesting, and we'll hear from Coach Doms that Reading switched up their offense this year. I believe this is year 4 of Coach Troy with the Red Knights, and they went to a wing tee look and thought that they had the players to
take some time to get there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we also heard when we had our guest Paul Roberts on earlier in the year that they've got some big young freshman linemen.
Yep.
And hey, if you're gonna make that switch, now's the time to do it. Not when they're juniors or seniors.
No,
you want to make that so that these guys are running this for 4 years coming in to that, and you can kind of see how it goes from there.
Yeah, so Boston led Reading high with rushing with 101 yards. He had a long of 27. Not a lot going for any of the other running backs there, and actually because of the intense pressure that the quarterback was under when attempting to run or attempting to pass, they actually were dropped under 100 yards net rushing as a team. Wilson, Corell Akings led the way with 6 carries, 73 total yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground for Corell. Mason Young led the way in passing yards. He was a perfect 4 for 4 for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cole Peterson actually had the most attempts at 7. He completed 4 of those, including a touchdown to Mike Glover. And then Logan Pettit was also 4 for 4 in passing. So Wilson quarterbacks were 12 of 15 for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then wide receiver turned quarterback Eli Dean, unfortunately, was 0 for 1 with the pick. Just couldn't sneak one past the Red Knights there. But overall, 12 of 16 passing, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. Then Logan Pettit was sacked 2 times, but neither Mason nor Cole were sacked when the ones and backups were in. It was down when the JV took over that Reading started to get some pressure. But good showing all around from Mason, Cole, and Logan. Receiving-wise, really a large distribution because of the amount of players that were rotating in the game. Jaden Carpenter, Damian Greer, and Eli Dean all had 2 catches, with Carpenter leading the way in yardage, 50 for him. Oh, and his 2 catches were both for touchdowns.
And that first one.
That first one was ridiculous.
The second one was almost like fielding the punt. He was just kind of waiting for it.
Yep, he just stood there.
He was
it in.
Right. But that first one was wild. And to be honest, that's one of those where as soon as I hit stop on like the record button, I look for you because I'm like, where was Joey on that? I hope he was like down there to get an angle.
Yeah.
You usually are, but like it was a long enough pass that I wasn't 100% certain that you had moved back like to the end zone yet. But yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's not the perfect shot, but I got it well enough to use it, and Mike Drago used it, and then on the other side, flip side. See, the nice thing is that Willie usually stays on the other side of the end zone. I go to the back of the end zone, and we both are in each other's shots, and he has a great one of it as well. So, yeah, great game. You know, quick.
Channel 69 got it.
Yep. Quick for. Not a lot of time to execute for a lot of the ones on offense, but when they were in, they got the job done.
Did exactly what they were supposed to do.
And if you're
awesome.
watching this live, not listening tomorrow, you still have time to vote for that Mason Young to Jaden Carpenter touchdown pass and catch on 69 News WFMZ, the big ticket. It is up for the play of the week.
Right.
So you definitely go to that side. I posted it across social media, but head there and vote for Young to Carpenter, reeling in that touchdown pass. A few other stats of note. Defensively, a familiar name despite only playing a half. He tied for the team lead at 5.5 total tackles, 1 for loss, and for the second time in 3 weeks, a pick 6.
It looked very similar to the pick 6 he had 2 weeks ago.
It looked very, very similar to it.
He kind of like dropped back and threw it, made a great catch, and then was off to the races. And although last time he kind of got like an escort, I think Carell kind of escorted him into the end zone last time, and maybe Eli. This time, he was by himself. It was just him just running.
Yeah, and that would be junior linebacker E.J. Brownback, who is going to get our nod once again for player of the game. There were so many to choose from. No one had a lot of time to really put up a huge amount of stats. But Carell and Jaden both getting in the end zone twice, making their time on the field really count. Either of them could have absolutely gotten it as well, but people love pick 6s, so we went with EJ, and he played maybe a half at most and still tied for the team lead in total tackles. Actually, his replacement, Matthew Wyatt, is the one who caught up with him, and their stat line is almost exactly identical. They both had 4 solo tackles, both had 3 assists for the 5.5 total. They each had a tackle for loss. Brownback just had the 32-yard pick 6 on Salute to Service Night, where his dad was one of the service members being recognized as being a police
picture
officer.
you have last year, that's one of my favorites. That's a really cool
that
one.
was a cool one last year, and actually the school on there, the Wilson Media Productions, interviewed the two of them together post game. Cool. So yeah, all around very great night for Salute to Service. And the play on the field. And JV held their own. Looked good.
Yeah.
Going up against the Reading High ones. Didn't give up a score. No. Didn't get in the end zone, but they had a few drives. They were moving the football. Yeah. So that's what led to so many people touching the ball for the Bulldogs on the night. You know, I mentioned Carpenter, Greer, and Dean all having 2 catches. Then single catches for Braden Farrell, Mike Glover, who got the touchdown, Ethan Harding, had a catch. Aiden Zerkovich, Tyler Ulrich, Brady Matisic, all contributing through the air and then on the ground. In addition to Akings, Harding had 2 rushes, 1 for a touchdown. Mason Young used his feet once. Cole Peterson did as well. We also saw freshman Whitehurst carry the rock. Zerkovich from his receiver spot. And then Tyler Ulrich and Logan Pettit all carrying the ball on the ground as well. So not a lot to dissect in the game, Justin, just because of the nature.
Right.
Wilson was in control from the start. It was never in doubt. They got the job done, and not a lot else to say about it.
It was exactly, you mentioned this, exactly what you want to see, though. The starters were in there. They handled their business. They looked pretty crisp, and, they handled their business, but they went about it, and then when they came out, there really wasn't a dramatic drop. You didn't see kids, this game's over. There was none of that. They handled their business. They got to that running clock in the second half, and then the other kids went in and made the most of their opportunities, and those are big. Like getting that depth and experience when you have the chance to do so is huge, because that allows for those guys to fill roles and spots this season, but also get guys experience for next year. That experience is so valuable.
Oh, so valuable, infinitely so. And it was nice that they were able to get in there and take care of it. Just job well done. Last thing here. Actually, before I get to it, I'm trying to pull it up here on the fly. I can probably just do screen share and show some of the photos here. Look at that. That'll work. Look at that.
There we go.
So after the game on Friday night, the Wilson Football Tradition Club set to honor head coach Doug Doms for 50 seasons of coaching with the Wilson football program. He started in 1976 as an assistant under John Gursky, and then continued on as an assistant under Jerry Slimmer and Jim Contafio, before being asked to take over as head coach in the summer of 2006. Thought maybe it would only be for a year, wasn't sure that he wanted to continue. Well, here we are, year 20, with Coach Doug Doms as head coach, and we wanted to commemorate that. So the board, led by President Barry Aiello, and then my dad, Bill Mays, Hallie Vaughn, Trevor Vaughn, Jeff Janakovo, who I mentioned, instrumental in getting this taken care of, brainstormed an art piece, a digital media piece. From the pictures, just kind of looks like a standard football field. Says 50 years of coaching, has the trademark "Are you ready?" And then it says Doms. But what's cool about this, and what kind of was the biggest part of this piece, was that inside each letter that spells out Doms is all the last names of players that he coached for all 50 years. So from the fall of 1976 through this current season. So yes, the kids on the team right now, those student athletes, their names are on there. And that is the 50th season right now, this year that they're in it. So
that's pretty cool.
The WFTC presented that, and thank to everyone that made that possible. There was a lot of research done for finding all those names, and I'm sorry if I missed anyone. And I tried to correct any spelling mistakes that were in the programs or in the yearbooks or on Max Preps, because 50 years to track down well over 1,000 names. Just a really cool event, and wanted to recognize Coach Doms for that. And speaking of which, we caught up with the man himself following that ceremony, and we're going to hear from him about his 50 seasons, about a little bit on Nazareth, a little bit on Reading, and then looking ahead to Cedar Crest. So let's listen to that right now.
All right, we're joined post-game now after another Wilson victory, this time 49-0 over Reading High. Bulldogs defeating crosstown rival Red Knights. Here with us now is Coach Doug Doms, who earned his 199th win as Wilson football head coach, and also was just honored for his 50th season on the football staff. Coach, what does it mean, 50 years on staff? How does it feel?
Old. You know what? Kids keep you young. There's always a challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge of not having the ability. Sometimes it's the challenge of making sure they channel their abilities. But got a great coaching staff. You know, guys like Jeremy and Ernie have been with me my whole run as a head coach, and the rest of the guys, they work their butts off, and they deserve more credit than I do.
Well, we hear you thank them all the time and say you couldn't do it without them. I'm sure they all appreciate it, and everyone knows that you all put in so much time to get the Bulldogs to where you have them at, now sitting at 3-1, open league play with the win, going to Cedar Crest next week. Before we talk about the Falcons, what was the message this week at practice after the performance against Nazareth last week?
Well, Nazareth, we didn't really execute the game plan. I mean, we did in the first quarter, and then we started, doing our own thing. It was just, hey, this isn't about me, this is about we. Everybody does what they're supposed to do, and good things will happen. This week, obviously, we looked at them on film. We knew Reading wasn't a very strong football team, and so it was a case of let's get better at some aspect. Every person on the team get better at one aspect of the game, and then we talked a lot about the service personnel and the sacrifices they've made so these guys would have the opportunity to play this game. And I said, let's go out and win it for them.
Yeah, there was a lot of going on pregame with the salute to service. How does that make everyone feel to start the game, to kick things off with the emotion running high?
I know it's very emotional for me because I lived through some of that stuff. I have friends that died as a result of some of those wars. These kids haven't had to experience that, but I really stressed to them the sacrifices they made so that they would have the opportunity. So you think you sacrifice with all the work and everything you do all summer. Hey, we're talking about guys that sacrifice arms, legs, limbs, friends, so let's go out and do one for them.
Yeah, it was a wonderful pregame festivities honoring first responders and military members. A last question, Coach, just Reading High switched up their offense a little bit. It looked like they were running wing tee or midline type offense, a little different.
They went to wing tee. We saw it, in their couple of games, but I think he feels that it's the best offense for his personnel. And like you said, he's young and they're making mistakes, and it takes a long time to get that mesh down the way Wyomissing does. But they're positive about it, and just keep working.
All right. Well, Coach, congratulations again, not only on the victory tonight, the 199th win overall in your head coaching career, but for being a steady presence on the Wilson sideline for 50 seasons now. And hopefully Justin and I can talk to you after a few more wins this year. You already got the 3. You only promised us 1 or 2. So you're already, hey, breaking goals.
3 times as many as I expected.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you to Coach Doms for hanging out with us afterwards. 199 wins as head coach. Got a big one coming up here, Justin. Friday against Cedar Crest with a chance to win number 200.
That's wild.
In 20 seasons. I mean, average 200 wins or
right.
Average 10 wins to get to 200, and there's still 5 more games after this upcoming one.
Right, and I think in reading Drago's article about thoughts from week 4 or something like that, I think he was talking about Dom's numbers there, and I think hopefully when he gets to 200 wins, it would be, I think, the 3rd Berks County coach to get there.
Yes.
However, his percentage is insanely high. His win percentage is,
it's like 814 or something like that.
It's really, really high. So it is interesting. It's really cool. And he also talks about how, like the ridiculous percentage of Wilson games he has coached and wins he has coached. It's just,
well, I think it's 75%.
Silly numbers, right?
Yeah, 75% of all of Wilson wins have happened with Doug Doms on staff.
Think about it. In the 50 years, there have been 4 head coaches.
Well, no. Oh, in those 50 years.
Sorry.
Yeah,
in his 50 years, there have been 4 head coaches, and he is one of them.
Yeah, and he has the most wins.
He's been one of them for 40% of those years now.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Very, very wild. Very wild. So that was great. Let's see. Well, real quick before we get to Cedar Crest, I just want to point out another event happened at Wilson Saturday evening.
Yes.
This past week was the 24th anniversary of 9/11. And obviously that got a little bit rolled into Salute to Service. I'm guessing that's probably why they pick around this time each year to do the event, which was phenomenal. But the Wilson JROTC has for a few years now. I think this might have been 5 or 6. I
I've
think
lost track,
it may be long. It may be longer than that. But they do a 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb. And that took place Saturday evening at Gursky Stadium. A really well done event. And I just wanted to point that out and thank everyone that participated and spotlight that happened Saturday evening. It was really, really nice to attend and see all the JROTC members and some local firefighters.
They also, I think the JROTC was responsible for setting up all the American flags all over campus this week too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they were still up, but and it wasn't just for the Thursday, the day of. They stayed up through the game Friday and into this weekend.
Yeah.
And in the past, I know they put out the numbers that were very meaningful to the event itself. But yeah, very awesome. They look good. You said combined with Reading High.
It was a cool thing.
The honor guard, the flag, just everything flowed well into the weekend, leading to the JROTC event here. Very, very cool, and very obviously always very, very emotional. All right, so let's take a look now at Cedar Crest, the Bulldogs' next game, 5th on the season, 2nd in league play. And the Falcons, we talked about it, Justin. We thought that they could be a challenge to Wilson and Manheim Township on this season, maybe being the next tier down. But, a few years ago, it was Wilson Township and maybe, Hempfield. And guess what? Hempfield won.
Right.
They beat both Wilson and Township in the regular season to be the champions back in was that 2022? Yeah, 2022. Yeah. So, you don't like to look past anyone. And this is going to be quite the test for the Bulldogs this week down at Earl Bolt Stadium, Friday, September 19th. The Falcons are 6A. I mean, we saw them twice last year. Squeaked by them in the regular season, then took it to them a little bit in the district playoffs. But they were 8-4 last year, and Wilson did win that most recent playoff game 28-3. Cedar Crest Falcons are led by second-year head coach Nick Lambros. They currently sit at 2-2. They did get a win here in league play just this past Friday while the Bulldogs were beating the Red Knights. Penn Manor came to Lebanon to play Cedar Crest, and the Falcons got the better of the Comets 40-15. This was after 2 losses by Cedar Crest, sandwiched between their opening game win against Lower Dauphin. So Cedar Crest is 2-2 on the season. They beat Lower Dauphin in week 1, 25-21 at Hershey Park Stadium, where Lower Dauphin plays their home games, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Also awesome. Cedar Crest then went on the road to Spring Grove and suffered their first defeat 27-13. And then the first of 3 straight home games, they brought in Warwick, and the Warriors beat Cedar Crest 34-12. Then beat Penn Manor, as I mentioned, and then their final of 3 consecutive home games is this Friday against our Bulldogs. So a little home cooking for Cedar Crest, 1-1 at home to start the season. The Warwick one is interesting, Justin. 34-12 loss to Warwick, and I thought Warwick was looking, full steam ahead and could surprise some people.
Yes.
Then they played Solanco this week and did not go Warwick's way. Solanco took out Warwick. I think it was like 30,
and it's
35-7.
It's interesting. We were looking at it was wild last year because Warwick beat Cedar Crest, and that was really unexpected. And we're like, what happened? And then you saw, there was the issue with the quarterback getting hurt and
there
things
was
like that.
What did they have, like 7 or 8 turnovers, including 5 or 6
the quarterback was out and then they had
snaps or
trouble with the
something.
snaps.
It wasn't good. But this year, Warwick got the better of them at home down in Lebanon, Earl Bolt Stadium, 34-12. So I'm not really sure what to make of these early season results, sitting at 2-2. I really thought that they were going to be a challenge for the Bulldogs this year, especially because it's on the road and we know what it's like to go down
and
there.
The last 2 years in the regular way, or in the regular season, like it's come down to the end of the game, so like 2 years ago, Eddie Case intercepted it at the goal line, so it's just, man, you gotta be ready for a battle.
So the biggest thing I believe that's hurting Cedar Crest right now is the importance that was Jackson Custer, a 2-year starter for them, phenomenal athlete, really elevated the team the last few seasons to get them where they were. They're definitely missing him for at this point. Kai Speaks and Steven Reyes have been playing quarterback for the Falcons, with Speaks leading with 45 attempts. He's completing less than 50% of his passes, though. 2 touchdowns to 4 interceptions for Speaks. The big name to remember, the one that they'll like to feature the most, is junior running back Isaiah Zimmerman. He is a phenomenal running back. Yeah. He's getting some D1 looks. I know he's visited Rutgers. So there are some possibilities for the offense if they can find holes and open up paths for Zimmerman. He's 59 rushes in the first 4 games for 474 yards. That's over 8 yards per attempt, Justin. Yeah. And he has scored 7 touchdowns already. Speaks also uses his legs from the quarterback position. And you would think his favorite target would be Cameron Tirado. We heard his name last year. He is second on the team with 7 catches for 64 yards. But so far this year, he's favored Liam Setgavage, who has 8 catches for 114 yards and a touchdown. A name that's maybe more familiar from the Falcons defense, Luke Oriole, has 3 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown as well. I guess I expected a little bit more from Cedar Crest right now. I know Custer was a huge part of their offense last year, but I really thought that they would be doing a little bit better. I know Reyes took over at quarterback last week. I think there may have been an injury to their starter. He did not play against Penn Manor. So not sure what the status of him will be. That's Kai Speaks for the game this Friday, right, down at Cedar Crest. So not sure what the status of Speaks is. If Speaks can't go, it will be most likely be Reyes. But again, it's going to be Zimmerman. He had 143 yards and 2 touchdowns against Warwick. Then last week against Penn Manor, Zimmerman had 101 yards and 3 touchdowns. Right. So as Zimmerman goes, Cedar Crest goes. So if the Bulldogs can stop Zimmerman, they'll probably be okay defensively. Offensively, get the ground game going. Yeah. I know there's a few bumps and bruises along the offensive line. We'll see if everyone's able to go this week or not. Hopefully everyone can get healthy. We did get to see the return of Aiden Janakovo at center, which he had missed the Nazareth game with an injury, but he was back. Line looked very good. So hopefully any other bumps and bruises can heal and we can see the normal 5 out there. If not, we know there's some depth there that they can fill in. Caden Nemitz has played very well at center when Aiden was out. They've moved Etchberger around from guard to tackle depending on who they have. David Wise is back full-time after kind of rotating to start the year, which allowed Etchberger to move to guard. So we'll see what Wilson is able to trot out for Game 5 against the Falcons. And we hear it's coach speak all the time, but just do your job. Take care of your business. Trust that your teammates are going to come out and do their job, and you'll do great as a team, And we heard Coach say, it's not about me, it's about we. And that's what this one needs to be, because this could be their most difficult task up until Manheim Township comes
Right.
calling. Don't know what to make about Hempfield yet, so
Right.
maybe not. Mifflin, same thing. They're
This is
up and down, back
this is
and forth.
Well, this could be well, I don't know. It's hard to say. But Cedar Crest is going to be good enough that if you're not ready to go, there could be problems.
Right.
So you have to go and just handle your business, and we'll figure it out from there. Like we should be fine as long as you just kind of handle your business.
Wilson has scored the most points so far in LL Section 1 at 131 in 4 games, and they've given up the second fewest, just 6 points behind Hempfield, who's given up 55. Wilson surrendered 61. Cedar Crest is actually below the break-even line. They've scored 90, given up 97. Township has not started Section 1 play yet. They'll get started this week.
Yeah.
Will the Blue Streaks?
They beat
They
PW
actually
this week.
They beat Plymouth Whitemarsh this week, and I think yes they do. Manheim Township plays Hempfield, so that'll give us more information of both of those clubs. Township is 3-1 with their only loss coming to a team that we think is very good this year, Central York. At Central York back in week 2. Township started the season winning 7-0 over Cumberland Valley. They had the setback against against Central York, 36-28.
Who looks very good.
Right, and then they played a nice team in York William Penn, who looks to have rebounded this year. They
Put
beat
up
them
90-some points this week.
Yeah, they beat them 43-34. Yeah, and then York put up 91 points against Northeastern on Thursday night. Township then welcomed in Plymouth Whitemarsh, who the Bulldogs, they share an opponent outside of the league. And it was actually a shootout between the Colonials and Blue Streaks. Manheim Township won 37-31, although they did start that game down 14-0 after some issues at the start, and then turn around and put it on PW to get that win. Township travels to Hempfield this Friday, and that's a big one to figure out what's going on in Section 1. Honestly, the top 4 teams that are probably in the running to be considered section champs are all playing one another this week.
Right.
Wilson, Crest, and Township, Hempfield, with Wilson and Township probably favored, with Hempfield and Cedar Crest chasing. So if it goes by the way of the guests we've had on the show, Paul, Mike, Jeff, everyone thinks it's going to come down to Township Wilson, and obviously that's what we want it to be in Week 10 as well.
It would be fun.
All right, so I think that about covers our preview of Cedar Crest. There was one more thing that I wanted to get to here this evening. We talked about Salute to Service and the JROTC 9/11 stair climb, but then this morning was the Wilson School District's memorial unveiling for former Wilson teacher and longtime Wilson athletics coach. People think of him as a football coach, which he was, and that was his main love. But he also coached wrestling and track and field recently, and he's dabbled across the sports spectrum. I know he's coached swimming and diving before. When he was at
things I've learned in the last few years.
Right,
yeah.
absolutely wild. Some of the stuff I've learned over the last 18 months or so. But this morning, the Anton Fernsler Memorial was unveiled at Wilson West. It was a crowd-funded memorial administered and organized through the Wilson Education Foundation with the help of the Challenger family, with sophomore quarterback Johnny Challenger leading the way for that, appealing to the school board and the administration that something should be done in Anton's name. So they really ran with that over the last year. The community rallied around it, and we reached the fundraising goal very quickly in the spring. And today was the day to have it unveiled at West Middle School inside the stadium so that the students, the players, can see it as they take the field each time. And it's very well done. It's larger than I expected it to be, which is
really
fantastic. Nice. Yeah, it stands out. It's a great black or grayish stone with very nice contrasting white lettering, and then a pop of color with the Wilson logo there at the bottom. So if you're in the neighborhood of Wilson West Middle School and at the football stadium there, you can check that out. And it was great to see the entire Fernsler family there, especially as you're making the journey from Boone, North Carolina, down at Appalachian State to come to the unveiling. Fantastic to see the whole family. It was really great. Drew Kaufman got us started off, and then Dr. Rada, the West principal, was there and turned it over to some players, both current high school players and all former players of Anton, and an alum came back to speak as well. So Johnny Challengers talked, Joella Moore as well, and then Troy Corson, graduating class of 2021, played for us at West in 2016, and came back, and they all had fantastic things to say about Anton. And I got to speak. Azure spoke, and then Dr. Trickett spoke just before the unveiling. So it was a great time. It was very well attended, a large swath of the community, and a lot of teachers and coaches. So very, very nice event put on, as we mentioned earlier, helped organized by Karen Troutman, and Jacob Ferreira was there to see it through, to make sure it went off without a hitch, and it did. Right. It was fantastic. They had the Fernsler mixtape playing before and after, and it was a wonderful, bright, sunny day to honor the late Anton Fernsler and unveil that memorial. So thank you to everyone that participated, not in just the event today, but in the fundraising, and for really making this come together and honor him.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. Well, we're a little bit early, but when the game goes the way it did Friday night, there's not a lot we have to say about it. So, is there anything you wanted to touch on or point out?
Just it was a good step up from the previous week. Obviously whole different situation, but that's not stuff that they need to even worry about. Go out and handle your business, just like the players did, and continue to do that this week. Get better in practice this week. Be ready to go. Cedar Crest will be a step up, and make sure that you're ready to go and handle your business this week as well when you hit the road to Lebanon.
Absolutely. Yeah, big one this week. Reinforce that the Bulldogs are the team to beat in Section 1. Justin and I will be back in 1 week to recap that game and look ahead to Rivalry Week. Governor Mifflin right around the corner, Justin. That's always a great one to put a feather in the cap of September and get ready to flip the calendar to October.
And we will be over halfway at that point.
Yeah, we will.
At that point.
Yep. Just wild.
Yeah.
It comes and goes so quickly. So I think that is probably it for us here then this evening. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks to everyone for a great weekend of Wilson related events. You get the week off if you are not traveling to Cedar Crest. You can watch the game, I believe, on YouTube CCHS Live. That link will be posted later this week as well. But you should have the opportunity to watch if you can't make it to Lebanon on Friday night. But that's it for episode 10 of the Bulldog Hour's 11th season. Justin and I will see you back here next week, same place, same time. So until next time, for Justin Raffoff, the Wilson Football Program, I'm Joe Mays. And remember, go Bulldogs.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Bulldog Hour. Want more Wilson football? Follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud, or visit www.bulldoghour.com. The Bulldog Hour is a featured program on jmnjrradio.com.